often say that I remember you said this all the time. You're like, I live in heaven on earth. I just love my life and it's so good. And I wanna dig into that a little bit. And I want to know how can you do that? How can you share some knowledge, some strategies or tips or stories with other flow parents that are looking to create something similar to what you have?
I always look at the 30,000-foot view of Earth and kind of look at the insanity that I see here. And what I've realized is we're really not connected enough to our instincts and our intuition, because I was reminded that we're mammals or animals. We give milk to our babies. That's why we're in that category. And when you follow your instincts of what your body's telling you to do, makes life a lot easier, even though sometimes the systems that are in place on Earth don't exactly align. But what I've learned, and I have a 13-year-old child, and what I've learned through that experience is the more I allowed my child's instincts and intuition to guide them, the more we lived in heaven on earth. I didn't fight against it. I flowed with it. And a few of the things that I did to help me do that is, number one is I co-slept with my baby. And by doing that, that helped us create a great bond of trust and security. And normally, like in our bedrooms in the United States anyway, our beds are high off the ground. Well, my daughter's dad's from Mexico and we lived there a lot. And I saw a lot of people just had their mattresses on the floor because that's all they could afford. But it got me thinking. I was like, well, if I just put my mattress on the floor, then my child's going to be safe and they can't roll off the bed, because that's one big fear that a lot of parents have. At night, she could just roll over, nurse, go right back to sleep. Like our sleep patterns didn't get interrupted. Yeah. And then it saved my energy too. I didn't have to be holding her, because that takes a lot of energy when you're holding your child in your arm, nursing them. It takes a lot of your energy holding on to them, especially as they get older. And so by allowing those instincts to flourish in my child, they never presented with symptoms of anything in the body, because they never had an ear infection. They never had thrush on the tongue. They never had diaper rash, never had anything, because I was helping get their needs met in the moment they needed it. And then everything else, it just works so beautifully when the mom can nurture the baby that immensely. So that just arranging the mattress alone is one tip that I highly suggest to new parents, so that you can have peace of mind. That's what it comes down to. Yeah. You can have peace of mind at every second while you're sleeping and relaxing. And that to me is priceless.
I think it's just kind of born into us. You wanna be cuddled. You wanna be around your parents. There's that connection and that security. And I think kids really appreciate when parents recognize those things and can flow with their kids in those ways. So good job. Good job.
I never gave my child a pacifier ever. My nipple was the pacifier, right? I never gave her anything fake, because psychologically they lose trust in you on a subtle level when you stick a fake nipple in their mouth when they're asking for food or just to be soothed. My heart's desire is, how can we support all the moms on earth so much that they can be fully present with their babies, creating those strong foundations, because that affects you the rest of your life. How are you born into this earth? And so I feel like my experience has helped evolve, or to open up, I guess, a gateway to create new systems of living and being and honoring our instincts, intuition. And I feel really driven to do that. And so I'm grateful for this opportunity to share these little tidbits today. Yeah. And I'll add one more. The other thing I did was I used the Ergo Baby backpack carrier for my child for 4 years, because they can be 40 pounds or less. So for 4 years, I carried her in either the front of me or the back of me, because that thing it works so good. Whoever invented that, thank you. But that helped me a lot. I could take her to the grocery store, and it was good exercise for me to carry her in it. I never had a stroller. I never put her in a stroller ever. I was bonding when carrying her, and to make her feel safe and supported and protected and nurtured. as much as I could. I would dance with her in that thing. I would clean the house, go to the grocery store, go to the airport. I flew back and forth to Mexico tons of times. And she was always so happy. On the airplane, she would always nurse at takeoff and landing. She never once cried. There's so much brilliance in how the Creator created us. And if we can just acknowledge that and flow with it, that's how I live in heaven on earth.
That's how you create flow. You created flow with your child by just building on that connection and understanding what her needs were. And it was a natural flow. It was an organic flow that you had because you were sleeping with her, because you were carrying her around, because you were breastfeeding her. It just built that natural flow that nature just gives to us as creatures on this planet. You know, it wasn't orchestrated. It wasn't something you had to figure out and manipulate in any way. You just went right to the root of how that is amazing, Natalie. That's amazing how you did that.
You just brilliantly described that too. So yeah.
Well, you described it to me. I just summed it up real quick.
Yeah, that was awesome. You know, really the empowerment, I have goosebumps right now, like running up my whole back and neck. Goosebumps are just like fireworks right now. Yeah. I feel like our conditioning in our childhood and the way our societies and school systems are set up, it just stops the flow so much. Because you're constantly have to be or not constantly, a lot of times have to be somewhere at a certain time. Well, sometimes your body doesn't want to do that then. Yeah. And so I always prioritize not doing very many things when my child was young, because if they fell asleep, I never woke them up ever. Yeah. When you naturally awaken from sleep or a nap, you feel like, you know, and so I allowed that all the time.
So yeah, I do think that allowing your child to have their natural flows, their natural rhythms, and really figure out what is going on for themselves is super duper important for sure. Yeah, I think you hit it really, really well there, Natalie. Fantastic.
Yeah, I had to hold my hand over my heart, because that is, you understand, you see that with your children. I see that with mine, and I see how joyful they are then when they do get enough rest. My daughter and I are super good friends, and she never had terrible twos ever, never. Because she was rested, her energy was honored, and she was breastfed and you know, all of those things just create a happy human being.
But is there anything else that you would like to share? Any last words that you would like to share to the Flow Collective, to parents everywhere? Like what do you think kind of sums up your message to the community?
Yeah. I feel like the first thing I feel like saying is the rest of our days are the best of our days. And I was even inspired to create a Breastfeeding Beyond Belief course. And so I have it on the Teachable platform. So it's breastfeedingbeyondbelief.teachable.com. And so fantastic. I put a course together, to empower other moms and help them on their breastfeeding journey, so that they can have happy, thriving, healthy children for the future of our humanity.
Thank you so much for connecting with me, Natalie. It's always a pleasure talking to you. You're just awesome, awesome, awesome.
Thank you, Jay. I'm grateful I did a water birth at my parents' house with my daughter, and we had Bob Marley playing "Every Little Thing Is Gonna Be All Right" at party level.